Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. And today I'm going to answer a question from a viewer and I've had many similar questions like this over the years, and I think it always merits returning to discuss this topic, because if you are an intentionally well-dressed man, as I hope you are, you're going to find yourself facing this situation. And the question comes in from Bobby 381 in fact, who says, "Hi Ash, could you perhaps include a video about dealing with negative comments? I like to think I dress quite well, and because of that, it can certainly invite some unwanted sarcastic comments, mainly from those who are not like-minded and intentionally well-dressed, which I don't always know how to react to." And you are absolutely right. I mean, I get many similar comments from people who write into me and say, how do I deal with this situation? And of course, we all understand what it's all about. All right? We know that dressing well is a quiet act of self-respect for ourselves. We dress not to show off to other people. It is a symbol of our self-discipline as individuals, that we respect ourselves and we respect the situations that we go into in life. And we want to put our best representation of ourselves out there in the world. Because everybody around us, maybe at this point in time, in this hyper-casualized period of human style, choose to dress down to the lowest common denominator of clothing. We are choosing to dress in the opposite direction, as an act of self-respect, as a respect for others as well, and people don't get it. And we will receive, over time, those snarky comments from people, don't we? People who will come up to you and say, "Are you going somewhere fancy? Has mummy dressed you today? You know, a bit overdressed for today, aren't you, buddy?" I've heard them all over the years. I've heard them all. And you do develop something of a thick skin to it, to be honest, but you also develop some coping strategies which will help you deal with that situation in a positive way, because generally speaking, the people who are talking, right, they are meant in jest rather than judgment. All right, people rarely will try to make cutting comments which are intended to hurt you. In many cases, there are some quite profound reasons why people will make these snarky comments, and the first of which I would like to say is quite simply insecurity in other people, because they will look at you in the fact that you have chosen to dress well. You are looking your very best, and that unintentionally on your behalf has highlighted the fact that maybe that other person who's making the comment doesn't make any effort in the way that they dress. Or maybe this might affect a workplace. If you're in an office where many people choose to dress down and you suddenly start coming to work, maybe I would say quite casually the way I'm dressed right now, sports jacket, shirt and tie, it highlights the fact, and I'm going to speak candidly, that they are dressing like children, that they are dressing like slobs. And people don't know how to react to that. They will be a little bit uncomfortable because the contrast between you and them is very stark. And they start to get a little bit worried about that. They're thinking to themselves, I'm uncomfortable with the fact that Bobby is a very smart man and it's really showing me up in the workplace. And that's probably the first reason why somebody will make a joke or a sarcastic comment to you. It is quite simply insecurity on their own behalf, that in their mind they really know, right? They were born and brought up with the historical knowledge that real men dressed well. All right, that leaders, they watch the television, they see world leaders, and world leaders don't wear t-shirts and Crocs to work, do they? They wear suits and they wear ties. They're serious people of responsibility. And those folks who are seeing you and making snarky comments, they really know that people who get on in life dress well, and they're not conforming to that. And that's why they're making these funny comments. There's also the point of cultural conformity. It's absolutely true. Most social environments encourage some form of group uniform. The most obvious one, which I could think of, was sporting events. All right, here in the UK, The most common sporting event which draws people together would be football. And you will find on Saturday afternoons tens of thousands of people going to a sports stadium to follow their team, to cheer them on. And the vast majority of those people will be wearing the same shirt because they'll be wearing the shirt of their team to show their tribal identity to that group of people. And that cultural conformity expresses itself less obviously across the broader population. Not, for sporting events it's obvious, but in the workplace. If you're, so we say, a tech bro, all right, you're going to be sat in an office where, and I'm just stereotyping here, so forgive me for this, but the vast amount of guys, they'll probably have some form of training shoe on. Many times they have a fixation with trainers, and they have a bizarre collection of hugely expensive trainers, which are functionally crap, and you can't actually do any training in them. It's all about visual impression. They'll probably be wearing some sort of board shorts or denim jeans, which are hanging off their arse. They don't fit them very well, and often they look intentionally distressed. And on the upper half of their body, they'll likely have some sort of graphic t-shirt relating to, some bizarre television program, a vintage product or something like that, which they think is cool and trendy. And when it comes to personal hygiene, most of them are unshaven or have some form of beard or stubble, and they have scraggly hair, which is really combed in a good way. They probably don't use cologne, and that's what they think is the cultural uniform of the modern era in the field in which they work. So when you walk in as an intentionally well-dressed man, you have chosen to dress better than them. That puts them on the back foot. They are disconcerted by that. You don't look like them. You're not part of their tribe. And that's often why they will make these comments to you. That's why the reactions come in your direction. And finally, I think you get misinterpreted intent from the people who will make these comments, because they think, when they look at you, that you're dressing well as an act of vanity or a pretense, that you're better than them, that you're on your way somewhere. You're going for the leadership jobs in your workplace, or if it's in your social group, they will think, oh, you go, here's Bobby, he's chasing the ladies, he's dressing well. And as I say, it's misinterpreted intent. They think that you're trying to boast, that you're trying to appear higher up the social strata than they are. And again, that frightens them. It concerns them. They don't realize that you're dressing the way that you do, not to show off, but as a sign of respect. A respect for yourself, a respect for him, in fact, because you're in his company, and the group of people that you're associating with, or your work colleagues, or whomever this group may be, you're dressing to respect them because you want to be the best version of yourself in your group, but also you're showing respect for the situation. Whether you're in work, it's a place of employment. They expect you to be at the top of your game, and you're dressing that way. Or if you're going to an event, a social gathering, you're dressing up to go out. You don't dress down to go out to be amongst other people, to be seen by your peers. You dress up. You want to be the best representation of the sort of person that you are. And that's why you're dressing up. And they don't get that. That's misinterpreted intent. They don't understand where you're coming from. Now, as intentionally well-dressed men, we will encounter many situations where people will make such comments. And the last thing I want you to do, Bobby, is feel uncomfortable, awkward, or feel like retreating into dressing the way everybody else does. That is failure, believe me, when it comes to the way that we are choosing to dress a little better. We should see such opportunities as a chance to demonstrate leadership and poise amongst other people. It is a chance to take others with us to a better strata of dressing well. Now, how do we do that? I've got a few actionable tips for you, which you can employ when you might find yourself experiencing negative comments from people. The first thing I would say is own your style with quiet confidence. When somebody makes a remark, sarcastic, funny, cutting, whatever they're intending by it, your response should simply radiate calm and assurance in the face of this negativity. I'll give you an example. Right? I thought some examples up earlier. Maybe somebody comes up to you in the workplace and they say, wow, look at you. Who are you trying to impress? Now that initially puts your back up. You're thinking, what's going on here? Is this guy trying to be intentionally impolite? Are they trying to be sarcastic? Your response, my response would simply be, I'm not trying to show off to anybody in particular. I'm just making an effort. Right? Simple as that. I'm not showing off. I'm just making an effort. Now, I'm not apologizing for the way that I choose to dress. I'm not explaining anything to this person about, why things like scientific research shows us that enclothed cognition means that I feel better, others perceive me better, and my outcomes are going to be better in life just because I'm dressing better. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just saying, no, I'm not showing off. I'm just trying to make the best effort I can in the clothing that I put on. We're not being arrogant. We're not doing anything to fight back against this comment. We're just showing calm conviction to the words that have come our way. We're not battling this person. I'm just saying, I'm making an effort. And there's no awkwardness. There's no ego involved here. Nonchalance is the approach that I take when somebody speaks like that. I normally try and make it the most natural thing in the world is to dress the way that I am. And people will find it very difficult to come back with a pithy comment if you just say, I'm just making an effort. Calm, quiet confidence is often the best way to respond to a negative comment. Now, my next actionable tip for you when you face negativity is to employ a little bit of humour to disarm the situation. Because I think humour, when used sparingly, and certainly with a little bit of charm in there as well, it's one of the best tools that a gentleman can employ on his journey through life. And it's not just about the way that you dress, by the way. When people make comments, when there's negativity in life, a little bit of self-depreciating humour goes a very long way to win people over. And particularly when it comes to one's clothing, right? Because this person who's made a sharp comment to you, if you use a bit of humour, it disarms them. I'll give you an example. Maybe somebody comes up to us and says, look at you, what are you, auditioning for a period drama or something? My response would quite simply be, well, if they were casting for best dressed chap #1, I'll be the one getting the part and not you. Now, what I'm doing there is I'm using a bit of self-depreciating humour. I understand that this person feels that I'm overdressed for this situation in life. I'm explaining that, yeah, if they were auditioning, I'd get the part, right? I know that. He understands, I know that. But I've also said, it's going to be me getting that part and not you. And by that, I'm explaining to this person, do you know what? Best dressed people do actually get on in life. It's the same in the workplace. If you're in the working environment and the boss consistently sees you, being the best dressed person in your cohort of co-workers, he's the one, you're the one he's going to come and talk to. You're the one he's going to ask to do certain tasks and jobs, maybe public facing stuff, because he knows you can dress well. I'm just simply putting that out there in my response to this individual. Yeah, if they were looking for somebody to be, James Bond, it would be me, wouldn't it? Because I'm the one who's well dressed. So I'm accepting your humour, I'm laughing with you, but I'm also reminding you that there is method to my madness, all right? And that, I hope, comes across to people. I'm redirecting the energy, really, aren't I? I'm taking it in and I'm sending it right back to you. A little bit of humour goes a long way. And finally, I would say the other actionable tip is to lead by example, not by explanation. So when people make pithy comments, sometimes the best thing to do, if you know there's that loudmouth in the office who you know is always going to be saying something to you, right? No response is often the best response. Your best response is to keep showing up, looking smart, looking presentable, because probably they are making a comment because they are off-put by the fact that you're so smart. They are worried that you are the man in the office who is going to get the attention of other people, be it people of the opposite sex who might be interested in you as a potential partner. It might be the boss who sees you as an up-and-coming person in the office, as I said, who can do more important public-facing roles. You are perhaps singling yourself out from the crowd rather than being part of the mass proletariat who all wear the sneakers, the t-shirt and the scraggly beard, right? You're the different guy now. Your best response is leadership by example. Don't try to explain to this guy, you know it's not going to work, right? He's just going to say something pithy tomorrow. Don't give him the opportunity. Turn up, look good. Because the reality is, and I've been doing this for quite a few years now, 6 years on YouTube, and I've had so many comments from people who will say to me, do you know what? I work in an office, right? And it's just like you, Bobby. I work in an office and I decided I wanted to show more self-respect. So I started wearing a jacket, first of all, with a shirt. Then I introduced a tie. I got these comments from people. People would come up to me and they would make jokes, you know, are you auditioning for Downton Abbey or something like that? And it was quite nasty initially. But then I kept showing up. And sure enough, you know, when I was stood at the coffee bar in work, the boss would come over and have a chat. Women would come over and have a chat. And these people who are looking at you thinking, Christ, he's actually getting results by dressing well. And after a little while, after observing your progression towards Chap Nirvana, these people would come up and quietly have a chat with them and say, where do you get that sports jacket from? I really like it. Or, I'm loving what you're doing with the tie, but I don't know how to tie a tie knot. How do you do it? And before you know it, you have become a style leader, a mentor for others who seek to have a better life than the one they have in their Crocs and t-shirts. That's what you've got to do. Lead by example, not by explanation. Now, I hope, Bobby, that some of these actionable tips and the reasons why people are taking the mick out of you helps you to understand why it's happening and what you can do in response. Let me know if it works. I'd love to hear. I like to keep on top of this psychology because I know it works. I've been there. I've done it. I've heard others telling me the same. But it's always nice to know that it's still working. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to see more like this. And if you're out there with a question for me, send it in. Right? Drop me an email. I'm the only person who reads the emails. Be delighted to hear from you. Or even drop it into the comments. Don't forget, if you want to get closer to my whole Chap's Guide community, you can become a patron. The link to my patron pages is in the description box below. Don't forget, all you got to do is click onto that. There are free tiers on my patron group as well, so you don't have to pay if you don't want to, but you will get special made content from me and personal contact with me should you wish to have that. It's all in the description box. So until the next time we meet, lead by example, not by explanation. And I will see you very soon.